existence has been about evolution, most of it, all right? And technology has been one of the drivers of the continuous existence of mankind from way back up till now. And we are now in an age where, of course, blockchain, classified under emerging technologies in recent times. So we're having that as one area that is driving the next wave of technological advancement of humanity. Of course, AI is in the buzz and all that, but blockchain is at the base of most of these things going on, and it's something that's come to stay. And the beautiful part of it is, I think that's quoted by I think it was Elon Musk that said that some years ago, that any technology that is continuously funded and worked upon by people will definitely thrive. So blockchain is one of those technologies that is being worked on right now, receiving massive attention because of the utilities providing in solving problems that hitherto were not thought possible in the scale and manner that that's going on right now. So blockchain is a massive solution to the next wave of technology and evolution of man, and it's penetrating our lives in ways that we may never have thought. And that's the beauty of technology. By the time technology leaves the classroom and leaves the laboratory and begins to penetrate how we live, how we eat, how we sleep, how we make decisions, then we know that it has come to the next level. And that's what blockchain is. Some of us are maybe using blockchain in things already in blockchain without even knowing we're using blockchain already. So, but I don't want to get into so much details here. This is just the introductory part. But those are my thoughts about blockchain. It's an emerging technology that has come to stay, that is driving part of the bedrock of what is driving the next evolution of mankind, technology-wise, and definitely human-wise.
Awesome, awesome. So, like from everything some of the things I picked from what you've said, especially the quote by Elon Musk that when technology is being, when it's something that is being pushed and being built by the people, then it would do well. And one thing we cannot deny about the blockchain ecosystem is the fact that community goes a long way in in fostering adoption, and we'll get into all of that. Now, the next question, I also trade next question to you.
Okay.
Considering the fact that your bulk of the work has been centered around, empowering others, and you've carried out, a lot of initiatives across Africa and beyond. How would you assess the current level of blockchain awareness and adoption in Africa?
Okay. Um, okay. Let me break a demographic into maybe two or three parts. All right. We have the quote and unquote, the formally educated, and so those that have been to, some form of formal education and the rest. Then we have those that are in not necessarily informal education, but they receive an education that is not from formal settings, like your secondary school, university, and all that. Some have been to universities and all that, but they receive education from, let me say, online education, not structured education like year one, year two, year three in degrees and other stuff. People who learned online by themselves, learn from peers and all of that. They're educated in that area. Then of course we have those that are not educated in things like this at all. All right. So the lower base, those are not educated in things like this at all. It doesn't mean they're not educated, but they're not educated in things like this. So the adoption at that level is near zero. Yeah, you may not find it existing. Some don't even know what blockchain is, and it's okay because they can. Most of those people we use the utilities that blockchain provides. They don't really need to know what blockchain is and all that. But now, if we go to the other area, those that are self-learning, that are tech enthusiasts and all that, they don't necessarily have to be formally educated, but they're tech enthusiasts. They are part of the block that are even driving most of the awareness of adoption bigger because, of course, we can't deny the existence of crypto, the buzzword crypto. And crypto was what brought a lot of people into blockchain like that. So if we look at the Nigerian African tech space, crypto brought a lot of people into blockchain because people were curious about how does this thing work and all that. So they started getting some form of education. All right. It's still very low as far how this blockchain works. Many know how crypto works, the utility, but how blockchain as a technology works is still very low. And of course, we have the formal people that maybe formally educated in other fields and all that. Some are even tech, some are even engineering. But the adoption at that level is still very low also. So it's that middle range that has most of the adoption actually because of the crypto balls and everything like that. But the upper area, not so much yet. The lower area, near to nothing like that. But it's increasing these days because last year, let me use Nigeria as a case study. I think Nigeria is the only country in Africa for now that has um, um, a blockchain policy. Of course, we know it's Nigeria. The blockchain policy on paper, we have a document for it, like an actual working document that came out for it like that. So following what countries like maybe Estonia, countries like Dubai and places like Dubai, what they did, to come up with a policy that they can adopt as a country and see, okay, how can they drive this thing into the framework of the country, especially the economy of the country. So Nigeria came up with one last year, I think somewhere around May or June about that. Like that, they came up with one on that NIDA and the rest like that. Quite a concise document saying how they're going to work and the rest. And but it was a good one because no matter what you do in any country, if there is no buy-in from the sponsor, there's no sponsor from the top, you can't really push it far like that. So it was a good one. And from the political side, from the sponsorship side, like that. So what remains is now full, let me see, I don't want to call it full adoption, gradual adoption into the stream of things, how we do things. For example, there's some programs we have in Nigeria right now that that blockchain can fix this thing, like that. But we're not seeing it at that level. That's not cascaded to that level yet. All right. So in terms of general education, all right, it's still very low, I must say, but encouraging. At least it's not where it was in 2017, 2020, 2021. It's encouraging thanks to crypto. All right. But overall, it's still low. Then other parts of Africa, way lower, apart from places like Kenya. Kenya is actually massive. A lot of work has gone into Kenya. I think I have a lot of they have a lot of initiatives in Kenya and introducing a lot of new people, young people into it, like that. So a lot of work has gone on in Kenya, Egypt also like that. Yeah, but in most other parts of Africa, like the Western Cape and the rest, not as much yet, but it's encouraging. Some of these things just require just a buzz, some big buzz to happen, and it can become mainstream. But Nigeria is overall in the African context, since we have a policy document to guide, I think that's pretty encouraging.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Mr. Uyi. You've said a lot, and I wouldn't want to, go back over everything you've said. But then one thing I know is very true of me as a person is the fact that it was crypto that, led me to delve deeper into the technology behind cryptocurrency, which is blockchain technology. So yeah, crypto also brought me into the blockchain space as well. So I would before I move on to the other questions, I'll be introducing our second speaker, Mr. Chukwemeka Gerald. I don't know if I should attempt to pronounce the third name so I don't murder it, but I'll still try. Please correct me when I pass the mic to you. Chukwemeka Gerald Ibiawuchi. He's a passionate advocate for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in Nigeria and Africa, believing in the potential of Bitcoin and blockchain technology to enhance the achievement of these goals. He serves as a blockchain growth and marketing consultant and the community manager for Africa at Bank Exchange, and is an active member of the Stakeholders in Blockchain Association of Nigeria, CBAN. Known as the blockchain trainer, he has educated over 11,000 individuals globally with over 5 years of experience in data science, machine learning, Bitcoin, blockchain technology, and the fintech ecosystem. His mission is to accelerate Africa's transition into a sustainable and developed economy through blockchain innovation. He is also the author of Breaking into Blockchain, a career roadmap for young Africans and those transitioning into tech. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Gerald.
Yeah.
Welcome, Gerald.
Welcome, Gerald.
Thank you very much. Please
Welcome,
confirm if you can hear
Gerald.
me. Thank you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. I've been having bad network challenge. I don't know, maybe it's all over Abuja. But I just hope I don't get thrown out tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's great to have you here. And we are glad your network is working really fine tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, so did I pronounce your third name right? Did I pronounce it right? Ibiauchi.
Yes, you did. Yes, Ibi
Awesome.
Ouch. That's my surname. You did.
Awesome. Awesome. So I would also be asking you this question, being someone who has been in the, blockchain space and being in CBAN, what is your view and perception about blockchain technology in general?
Okay. Thank you so much. So I might have to put off my camera because of network, because it's been fluctuating. I don't know. I just need your permission to do that because I like talking and teaching while my camera is on. Uh, but just for network sake, I'm not sure. I don't know. But let me just try.
It's very
Okay.
fine.
So
It's very fine if you feel like it to make the network better because of the bandwidth, please. You can just go ahead.
okay. No. Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. So, for me, blockchain is one of the finest innovation that we've seen because it has the ability, the power to create wealth, to empower people, to enrich people as well. Because previously I wasn't in this space. I came in through the humanitarian space sometime in 2018. Having worked for the United Nations High Commission for Refugees and other humanitarian and like humanitarian and NGOs in Nigeria as well. So what drew me into the ecosystem was when I read the Bitcoin Billionaire book, and I started looking at how I can like what was powering the entire Bitcoin ecosystem, and which was blockchain technology. So if you read Satoshi's what's it called, the Bitcoin roadmap of Satoshi, it is a very very interesting piece, and I advise everybody here should just go and read that up. You see that for me blockchain, it has a lot of opportunities, it has a lot of things that it has done for us, especially emerging countries. And here in Africa, it has seen significant growth, even if it's small, just like the last speaker, Mr. Uyi, said. But we've seen increase in adoption for this technology in various sectors across Africa in recent years, including finance, which is which is a very very key aspect of this technology. Agriculture is there. A lot of people are doing things in health with these technologies as well. For countries like Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, who are the champions of this in Africa, have been at the forefront of this innovation, and they have been implementing a lot of things in the continent. And we can see that a lot of blockchain-based applications are being used to improve financial inclusion, increase transparency in supply chain, and also facilitating secure data sharing. I worked with Paxful, a company from 2019 to 2022 before moving out of Paxful, and I saw how Bitcoin was used to create wealth, even using it in the humanitarian space, because we also had an organization under it called the Build with Bitcoin Foundation, where we're using Bitcoin for social good, to build communities in Nigeria, in Machakos, in Kenya, in Gazera, Rwanda, in Ghana. I've forgotten the city, not Accra. But just with all this I've been saying, for me, it's one of the greatest invention that we have seen, and we thank God that Africans are doing. We are doing our best to actually catch up with the West. We have a whole lot of setback in this our ecosystem, which we'll talk about as we discuss further. But generally, it's the greatest invention that I have seen, because it has the power to enlighten people, to enrich people, to empower people, and create wealth for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gerald. You know, one thing again that I would say is true of a lot of persons is the fact that we are always, we always, as humans, we are always on the lookout for, better opportunities. To want to see how we can, improve our, increase our income streams, improve our standard of living, create wealth and all of that. And that has, driven a lot of persons to, innovate, to, enter into, different sectors to see what they can, make out of the opportunities in those sectors. And I believe that a lot of persons that came into, the blockchain space that has been established earlier, we came in because, we heard or we saw that there is a particular thing here in this sector that is that a lot of persons are talking about making money from and all of that. And as you have said, blockchain has the power to empower a lot of persons. And we have our third speaker here. Welcome, Mr. Emmanuel. And I would just, hold on to that thought while I introduce before introducing the third speaker, I would ask you this question, Mr. Gerald. What are the opportunities for wider adoption, and what are the recurring challenges that you have seen or envisaged in the ecosystem? A very brief answer to this question.
Okay, there are a lot of opportunities for Africans in the blockchain ecosystem. Number one for me is financial inclusion, because blockchain can provide access to different financial services for the unbanked. We have a large number of people here in Africa who are actually unbanked, and blockchain can solve this problem, enable mobile money, cross-border payments, and also like the likes of microfinance. Then if we talk about supply chain optimization, like I said before, blockchain can bring transparency and traceability to agriculture and also manufacturing in supply chains. It can improve efficiency and reduce waste as well. And then for identity management, these are the opportunities, and these are like niches that people can look at and see where they are very strong in and pursue a career in. So identity management, blockchain based identity systems can help address the lack of formal identification for many Africans. We have that a lot here, and I have a friend who is in Sudan, an IDP camp in Sudan, and they are using blockchain identity management solution in the blockchain space to help give those guys in that camp identity, so to curb the likes of theft, rape, and all. So also public service delivery is another aspect of this ecosystem where there's a whole lot of opportunities because blockchain can streamline government processes. Here in Africa, we know the kind of challenge when it comes to governance, corruption, this, that, and all. Blockchain can help us improve record keeping. It can increase transparency in public service delivery if governments in Africa can embrace this and put a whole lot of money for finance this sector for research and all. Then you made mention of challenges. Whenever we have lots of opportunities in anything, there's also challenges there. And here in Africa, we have a whole lot of challenges, from infrastructural gaps to regulatory uncertainties, to digital literacy, to scalability, and how interoperable it can be. For infrastructural gaps, we know that in Africa we really do not have these infrastructures that these made in technology support. We are actually consumers, and limited access to reliable internet, electricity. These are some other things that can hamper our growth in this sector. Like when I came in, I was complaining about the internet and all. So it's a very, very big thing that can hinder widespread blockchain adoption in Africa. Regulatory uncertainties is also very important in Africa. It's just Nigeria that had this blockchain policy document, like Mr. Uyi said, because I belong to CBAN, and CBAN was very instrumental in partnering in being one of the steering committees that partnered with the National Information Development Technological Development Agency, which is NITDA, and the Ministry of the Ministry of Communication and Digital Technologies in Nigeria, and they made that policy document, which was very, very like it was a progress in the right step, because Kenya, the blockchain association in Kenya had to come to Nigeria to copy those things and try to implement it in their own country. So the regulatory landscape for blockchain and the digital currency varies across different countries. So this is creating different uncertainties for businesses and users in Africa. Digital literacy is another big thing, because there's a very big need to improve digital literacy and awareness of this technology among the general public to drive mainstream adoption. This is why we are clamoring for governments to come in, and the Nigerian government is actually doing their part, because if you go to the NITDA office, they have like a department where they train people on blockchain technology, and they just finished the training a few months back, where they actually trained lots of thousands of people in blockchain technology as well. Then scalability is also a very big challenge for us here in Africa. But on a general scale of things, I believe that we are still starting, and we have a whole lot of improvements to do. And as we go, we keep doing the best that we can do, and we keep forging ahead. And I can say that we're actually doing our best, and we're actually trying in this part of the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the insights into, all of the policies and the efforts the government have been making. You when I look at the questions before me, you took the tempo really, high, and took us far into the future conversations that we're planning to have. But then it's all good. Thank you so much for, the insightful answers. So at this point, I would be introducing the third speaker, Mr. Emmanuel. Confirm if you can hear me. Are you there?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Good evening,
Yes, I
everyone.
can hear you loud and clear. Good evening. So, Emmanuel Ndubisi Mwabweze, he is a seasoned blockchain aficionado with over 6 years of experience. He founded Erudite House Hub and has been coaching and training people on blockchain evolution. Emmanuel is also a crypto educator, content creator, crypto analyst, trader, and investor. As a sought-after speaker and thought leader, he's passionate about exploring the transformative potential of blockchain and sharing insights on its future directions. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming a man that has been instrumental in my growth and development in this blockchain sector. Help me welcome Mr. Emmanuel.
Welcome, Mr. Emmanuel.
Welcome. You're welcome, Mr. Emmanuel. You're welcome.
So, Mr. Emmanuel, welcome once again to Imagine Tech Talks with Owujupe. So, the first question I'll be throwing to you, which is a question every other speaker has answered, is targeted at hearing your view and your perception, not necessarily what is written in the books and all of that. So, we would like to know what your view and perception about blockchain technology is in general.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Wow, how do I start? Okay, for me, blockchain is the future, and blockchain is it's a way African can take over from in this fourth world revolution. Blockchain, as we know, it's a disruptive technology. It's part of the fourth world revolution. Let's not go over the trend of the industrial revolution, the first wave, second wave, third wave. We are in the fourth wave now, and blockchain is an emerging technology. It's called an emerging technology because it's still being developed. We are still seeing new potentials, new things. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Good. We are still seeing new potentials, new things, new development coming every time, every day, the extent or the expanse of blockchain technology has not yet been exhausted, if I want to use that word. So it's a disruptive technology. Now, blockchain for me is what Africa is going to use to take over and enter the space and enter and regain its power. Let me say this, since it's an introduction, let me just give this brief history, in two or three sentences. If you realize that in history of technology, if you've ever studied the history of technology, you would realize that technology started in Ethiopia. You should know it started in Ethiopia. Ethiopia was one of the first countries or the first places where it is said that they began to use tools to ease their work. Not even in the West, not even in America. No, it's in Africa. And we see Egypt, the same thing. But now, if you want to talk about technology and anything, Africa is behind. How many of you have noticed it? Africa is always behind. And it's because we have these skills, we have this technology, but there are basic etiquettes we are not keeping, we are not looking at, we are not checking in place. That if we don't check those things, even in blockchain, we will get the money, we will get this, but we'll still be dominated by the West. But for me, I see blockchain as what Africans will use to enter and take back their space, their place in the world. And that's one of the places I want to look at blockchain from. And it's a whole different perspective. And I think as questions come up, I should be able to share my insight on those ethics that we must take in place. For instance, let me give you one before I go. For instance, have you realized that even in the space, every technology, let me use cryptocurrency, for instance, as one part of blockchain. Every African project is being questioned. How many people have realized that? Every African project, every project that is developed by a Nigerian, by an African, we are questioning it. We are asking, you are even scared to invest. How many of you have realized that? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Sure.
How many of you have realized that? Yes, because the Africans are always bent on the money. So we have gotten a narrative that we as Africans, we are consumers. Even in Nigeria, we have that same problem. Africa is just seen as a consumer. So for instance, even if you develop a tech, for instance, you develop a good tech, the next thing the average American is coming to give you as a proposal is to buy you off. How many of you have seen it? They just want to buy you off because they just feel you are good to develop it, sell off your product, get the money, you are money driven, and that's all. That's all you believe in. Get your money and go away, and you consume what you sold. So I really want to talk about if I would be permitted, I really want to talk about some etiquette or some ethics, some ethics, some basic principles, some basic characters. Should I put it characters or virtues? Good, that's the word. Thank you. basic virtues that Africa should take as we are plunging into the blockchain space. I think that would be a good introduction for me, because if I want to tell you the technology I believe in blockchain. That's one of the things I'm trying to add up in all my curriculums. If you've ever been to any of my class, I'm always trying to add up what we see. Let's not just push the money aspect. God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. So one of the things that I take from all of that is the fact that beyond technology, beyond the skills and technical know-how, there are ethics to anything we do, and high time we as Africans go beyond being consumers to also creators and innovators as well. Thank you so much for that. So the next question I'll throw at you before I move on is being somebody who, being a community person, I've seen you, work across various communities over the years that will work together. I've seen you build communities and all of that. And I've seen you, make me gain entrance into certain communities that have helped my journey and all of that. So talking about adoption, adoption, awareness, and education as regards blockchain in Africa, what role does education and community play in few lines?
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for that question. That's one of the reasons why I believe in educating the African man. I would say this: adoption, if you don't educate people, the average man will just think it's an opportunity to go in, make money, it's a quick money making scheme, or it's just a technology that, in the nearest future will be used. So let me just know one or two things. And we don't have time to go in depth, understand that your community, you can't have it all. Your community will give you knowledge, you need information, you need access, you need to develop yourself also. So adoption, for us to gain massive adoption, we must always learn to educate the average man. I don't call them newbies, I just call them average people. Most people are not really newbies. It's that they know, but they've not tested the waters. So education is good for adoption. We need to educate people. And I would always say this: education must be balanced. I have a problem with the average crypto education, or I say crypto education, blockchain education in Africa, because it's geared always towards, that's why I love the speaker that was speaking before I came. He was talking about other utilities about it. It's geared towards the potential for making money. Its potential for making money is always geared towards we consuming what they would give us. But if we educate people holistically, put them in communities that are healthy. In fact, it's one of my pains when you enter a community, and a crypto community online, and the community leader, that the community leader, from one or two of his comments, one or two of his posts, one or two of his innovations, one or two of his, let me say, one or two introduction of his product or anything, you would see that on an average, in part of 100, if you take a sampling of 100 communities, you will realize about 80 to 90 of them, the leaders or the major leaders are just there to exploit the people. I don't know if you've had my experience. That's the reason why I came in. I don't know if anybody has had my experience. Please, if I want to know if you hear me, if you have had my experience, yes, you would see, and it's painful.
True, yeah.
It's really painful. They want to just exploit the people. You don't want to educate them. They don't want to make them know this thing. They don't want to make them, because we strive as Africa to oppress people. So communities is good. If you have healthy communities where they give you information that will develop you holistically, then adoption in that manner, everybody coming to adopt crypto or blockchain technology in general are seeing the future potential, not just what to eat or what to gain for the now. We are seeing what it can do to us for the future. We can see how we can use blockchain to get free and fair elections. Somebody can develop that. We must not wait for America to first use that as their election before we bring it. So these are the things I think adoption communities, healthy communities will help adoption. That's why I don't want to just use communities. I'm using healthy communities. Healthy communities. I'm using my word carefully. Healthy communities. It would help us in adoption and education, and not just create a community where you just dump on people or you just give them a use. Okay, I developed an app that is able to help you get data from your bank, so everybody use the app. It's good. That's good. But how are you teaching them? What's the benefit? Why do we use this app better than this? What's the potential? What can we develop? Do you understand? So I think healthy communities helps in the growth and the propagation of the blockchain technology in Africa. And it also helps in the adoption. It will make adoption easy. We wouldn't fight it. Let me not go into the traditional or the religious or the spiritual aspect of Africa in technology. You'll be paid. So healthy communities will help break all those mindsets, get the explanation. Is that painful that, and let's say it is Africa. That's why I'm talking based on Africa. If I was talking to whites, I know what I'll tell them. But in Africa, the average African is looking for everything spiritual out of it. Whether it's CCCs, whether it's this, whether it's halal, whether it's haram, whether it's 666, whether it's for end time. For God's sake, it's a disruptive technology. Every time we bring technology to Africa, from the first time Africa got technology, the next time you are bringing technology to them, they're looking at it from a spiritual point of view, that the world wants to end. I don't get why. So healthy communities will help adoption and a good education. See, balanced education. I'm an educationist, so I know balanced education is going to also help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. Balanced education, healthy communities. Thank you so much for that insightful talk. So over to you, Mr. Uyi. And I'll be asking this question. Now, going to blockchain for social impact. Do you think that blockchain is being used for social impact in Africa at the moment? Like, are there instances that you know? And can you also share ways that you think that blockchain technology can be used for social good in Africa, such as in the development sector, in healthcare, the voting systems, identity management, etc. So yeah, over to you.
Oh, definitely. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for your insight and perspective. Mr. Emmanuel just spoke, so thank you so much for that. That was quite insightful and the perspective quite lovely. Yeah. So talking about blockchain in the areas of development, definitely there are areas where blockchain can help for social good. All right. Mr. Chukwemeka already mentioned some things. Like, it started an example of what was going on in Sudan, where there were technologies built on blockchain that they were using to manage identities of those in the refugee camp. That's something really big. That's something really good, because with the peace conflict situations in some part of Africa, you need robust technology that you can use to manage such things in a scalable manner, and of course in a quick to build manner like that. So that's one area that, like I mentioned, that is being used. There are other areas like in development. For example, maybe you're doing some agro-related area where you're doing some land allocation for some farming things, for farming ventures and the rest. You can use blockchain to manage land ownership. Sometimes we have a lot of land disputes and all those things that keep changing from one hand to another during generational transfers and other stuff. We can use blockchain to manage land allocation, land ownership like that. And so both in the social space and of course in the commercial space. But in the social space, they have a lot of programs where they do where they support farmers with land and sometimes with grains and all that. So managing that entire process, blockchain could come in very, very handy to manage such things. And of course, even educational sector, okay, without being pokey in a way, sometimes even our certificate issues, verification of certificates, how do we manage forgery and the rest? Yeah, although it's an academic issue, but it weaves into a moral issue which could be social in a way like that. So how do you manage certificate management in terms of forging certificates and all that? Ventures could come up where they use blockchain to manage it, whereby if you go change anything and all that, of course, we know how the blockchain thing works. You have to change all those ledgers backward, which is difficult. So integrity can be hardly compromised if such things are built on blockchain technology. So remember, there's some things that are running in countries today that started as social good. They started as social social remedies or social interventions. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, intervention, and they became the mainstay. Take, for example, we're looking at finance and banking, and Mr. Chukwemeka, he also mentioned things about microfinance bank. If you're following global politics going on, there was a recent outburst in Bangladesh, right? So when they changed their president, their prime minister away and all that. But now, beyond the noise, there's the coordinating person for the government of Bangladesh right now is Mohammed Yunus. Yeah, I happen to have heard that name first of all some 15 years ago when I was developing an IT policy for a microfinance bank during my NYSC or so. I think about that, like that. So it was a microfinance bank, so I was studying. Okay, let me even understand how microfinance banks work before we start developing IT policies for them. And that's why I got to find out that wow, that guy was a Nobel laureate, and the work he did by founding the microfinance system of empowering people socially, that's what got him there. So that's what he built his economic empire on. So it started as a social good. This microfinance scheme, the way it was giving micro loans to small households, to transform their life, like it started as a social good, and now became a mainstay today. Today we have microfinance banks around the world, but that kind of thing started as a social good, like that. So that's how blockchain, they can come in sectors that may end up being commercial, but they may start as social good, and based on the extent of their impact, they can impact the wider society. So that's why I mentioned the land allocations and land management things, talk about certificate management things, that even in the finance like that. So not just the general, maybe the crypto side of it, like even in banking. Like that, sometimes if you work with cooperatives before, sometimes you see, let me see, many of them are not even, many of them don't have, let me say, proper softwares and documentation, sometimes because of the high cost of building and maintenance. But blockchain can solve that kind of problem from them, to manage those things and to manage people, because sometimes it's what we bankers sometimes, when you see when they are profiling people, there's some people that are serial, I don't call them serial cheats, they're serial frauds, like that set up some of these ventures to defraud people. No, but by the time their identities are well captured in these systems, like that, you have systems that can to profile people even before you start investing in their ventures. Right now in Nigeria, up until recently, we didn't have a robust identification management system. But now, coupled with what Mr. Emmanuel said, whereby education, a holistic education is going on towards adoption of these things like that, and you are building technology on the other side. At that point of confluence, there's no telling what change you can bring up. Or then, of course, health management, even administration of certain health things. There's this matter we're discussing just a few days ago, whereby health records, for example, you go to the lab technicians and you go do some laboratory check and all that, some tests for maybe diagnostic tests and all that, like that. Where do all those records go? Like that is a big conversation for another day. But what we found that, like, we had a particular case that we handled. Okay, Mr. Geoffrey knows this. Sometimes I volunteer with some humanitarian organizations that help fight human rights, like that. So we had a particular case where they made a mistake there, and they couldn't, they wouldn't own up to the mistake because they had punched in the data already. So I found out, why were they being so angry? Why were they being so stubborn to make changes and all that? But we found out that there's a central system where they push these things to, funded by some NGOs, some INGOs like that they push these records to. And sometimes they use those records to come up with some statistics, around Africa and the rest like that. So this is from a lab, it's a private lab facility, but they're pushing this into that area like that. And some people don't know, some people like, if you check out Data Protection Act like that, that's a breach of data, that's a breach of privacy, but people don't know like that. But those are areas where blockchains can come in to come into that area, because most of those solutions they can easily solve those kind of problems in line with education. So the common man on the street and all that, okay, this is where my data goes. Do I consent or not? So it's not just, let me say, automatic that you must put your data out there, because anything can happen like that. While of course keeping data, using data is good for the positive side, but like, well, how do we manage data security? blockchain comes in there too. Integrity of those data, like that. Blockchain comes in there. And sometimes in solving these problems as well, blockchain comes in there because both of you can, let me say, if there's a conflict, this person can be saying this person can be saying this, we can easily verify with a solution on ground. So even not just in the mainstream health sector, like, in cure and delivering treatments like that, even in diagnostic level, lab testing level, blockchain can come in. And of course, this thing can be spearheaded from social projects that can, of course, grow into, countrywide adoption or statewide adoption like that. So we can go on and on and on, but let me just stop at these three for now. Of course, there are many other areas that we come into, let me call it debt management. We don't really like to talk about debt in Africa, but then it's what it is. Yeah, how do we manage? We talk a lot about life and debt, but how do we manage our debt? What's our debt database like? Like that, we don't really have most database like that. So there's a lot of opportunity there where blockchain can, and it can come as a social good. Social good can come manage debt. It's not like one bad thing. It can be a social good for debt, like that. But eventually we can harvest data that will be useful for the living, from whatever is happening in the end. So there's no end to how blockchain technology can stem out of projects that can stem out of social good that can become widely accepted to move the country and the continent forward. Let me just stop it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Uyi, for the insights into how blockchain can be leveraged for social impact in Africa. Now to investment and startups, I would be passing the mic to Mr. Gerald. Okay, I would be asking a two-in-one question, or I might just ask one. Let's see how this pans out. So what is the current climate for blockchain startups in Africa? I'll give a little bit of insight so it would, guide your response. And, I also want to learn because I have seen a lot of people who have started, in fact, sometimes I have, worked with certain founders, and along the line, a lot of things happen. It becomes really hard by the day to scale up and continue to build in this ecosystem. And sometimes I've seen people who have ideas. I know a particular doctor. I met him at an event I attended, an FTX event I attended sometimes in 2022 in Warri. And we got talking, and he has sent me several proposals. He has sent me, several ideas that he has, for blockchain, innovations in the healthcare sector. Sometimes because of the nature of my work in onboarding people into the ecosystem, and I'm always very passionate about making people see how their current skills, that they don't have to go learn new skills because they want to come into the blockchain space. I make them understand that your current skills can find relevance in the blockchain. Just understand what the technology is about, and that because of that work, sometimes people just come to me with proposals, with ideas. I should help them check this document and all of that. And sometimes I'm like, guy, I cannot help you and all of that. So a lot of persons have ideas, but sometimes the opportunities to build these ideas are not there. So I want to ask, what is the current climate for blockchain startups in Africa, and how can people who have ideas, how can people who have innovations, how can people who who want to build something, how can they even gain access to opportunities? How can they gain access to investors? How can they gain access to people that can help? Sometimes it's not necessarily about funding, but funding plays a major role. How can they get the right guidance to be able to build their dreams? And then how can we get investors on board to support the growth of blockchain-based ventures in this continent? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So I'm going to answer the questions with 5 points, which will be increasing blockchain adoption, supportive regulatory environments, like I said before, then funding, like you made mention of, then talent and skill development, which is very, very important for Africa, then collaboration in the ecosystem. So in 2022, My current company, L Bank Exchange, we have the L Bank Labs, which is like a venture capitalist arm of L Bank, funded with over a 100 million USD for startups all around the world. And we had a partnership with Adenian Labs. Adenian Labs is a venture studio in Nairobi, headquarters, Kenya, but they have offices in Lagos, they have offices in Tanzania, in South Africa, and in Uganda, I think, Kampala. So we had that partnership with Adenian Labs, primarily to help us look at tech startups in Africa, especially blockchain startups in Africa, so we can headhunt them, we can train them. We had that thing for 6 months, like the accelerator program. It was called the accelerator program, where we had the incubation phase for almost 6 months. We selected 12 notable projects that we gave them like seed rounds, invested in these projects, and ever since then, my company didn't return back to Africa to do another thing. I've been asking, and they are telling us, they've told me that they don't see the need to come back to Africa to invest again. They rather put their money in Southeast Asia, which is like the leading hub now for blockchain and like blockchain technology, basically, and tech. But for me, I feel the climate for blockchain startups in Africa is gradually growing. Is not what we like to see, but is growing increasingly favorable, with several promising trends and developments. And with what we are seeing now, because I've been in talks with Adenian Labs, they are our partner, and I feel they might come back to Africa this year, because a whole lot have improved. Because when it talks, a whole lot of factors drives or brings investors to your forefront. Like I mentioned before, increasing blockchain adoption. And as we all know, there's a high rising awareness and interest in blockchain technology across Africa. And this is because of the fact that this technology has the potential to address different socioeconomic challenges that we have. And we've seen people last year, I was a mentor for a Polygon hackathon that happened in Abuja, and we had people implement lots of projects to solve our own problems, and they were funded by Polygon Labs and various other VCs to scale these projects. And you can see countries like South Africa, Kenya, our own Nigeria, Ghana, Tanzania, emerging as hubs for blockchain innovation, with increasing number of startups and pilot projects. And because of this adoption, this is now feeling like a conducive environment for blockchain entrepreneurs to develop things, to scale their solutions. And because of all these little factors, investors will start looking our way. Then another thing which is very, very important is the supportive regulatory environment. And we can see, especially in Nigeria, that we have a very, very harsh and suppressing regulatory policies that can kill dreams. I've seen lots of startup founders in Nigeria move out of these countries to the Middle East, to Estonia, to different countries where they have favorable laws and they are doing their business. I, for one, have also considered, because I'm developing a project, a blockchain a startup as well. I've considered to move out of this climb because of various uncertainties in the regulation. You've seen several countries taking steps in establishing regulatory frameworks that are friendly to blockchain and digital currencies, and some are also stifling it. And if we have good supportive regulatory environment, people will build. And when they build, it will attract investors to our climb. Like, for example, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda have actually introduced different processes of developing their own regulations, like we did, to scale things for themselves as well. So regulation is another thing that stifles or kills growth, innovation, and all. Then funding is very, very important, because we know as Africans that sometimes we have talent here, but the ability to scale that is not there. Because one of the things we did before having that partnership with Adenian Labs was the fact that most Africans do not have what it takes to compete out there. They don't have the level playing ground to get resources, to get funding, to meet their peers, opportunities, and all. So the gap is very, very low, and that was why we came in to do that in 2022. And as we can see now, the African continent is attracting increasing attention from global ventures, venture capital, and also investment firms interested in blockchain-based solution. For example, in 2021, if I can recall, blockchain startups in Africa raised over 100 million USD, which is a significant increase compared to 2020. And notable funding rounds of that era include the likes of Triple Cash, Series C, I guess also Asa Finance from Kenya also did that in Series A, and both of these are also leveraging on blockchain technology, and they are doing super cool currently. So this influx of capital, of money, is fueling the growth and expansion of blockchain startups across the continent. But we need to do more as a people, because when people entrust money into us, we shouldn't be money driven, like Mr. Uyi said. Most times we build, and when they come, they just give us money, and we just go and we start consuming what we have built. So we should be very intentional in what we are doing. There are lots of avenues we can get funding in this space, and once we get that, we should be very, very intentional about what we are doing. And for you to even be in that climb, or for you to even be in that safe space to get funding, you need to know what you are doing. And this is where talent and skill development is very important. And we can see a rapid growth in this part of the world, because African universities and technology hubs have or are increasingly offering blockchain-focused programs, workshops, hackathons to develop talent and expertise. For example, in Nigeria, most universities now have blockchain clubs or blockchain bees, and lots of companies are coming to organize hackathons to get these developers develop products that are Afrocentric or Nigerian centric, to see the problems that we are having, create solutions around it, and scale with this. And we need to see more organizations such as Blockchain Institute, Blockchain Association of Africa, CBAN, and various incubators should start providing training, mentorship, networking opportunities for blockchain entrepreneurs, because with that, these builders will have an opportunity to meet with people with like minds, to gain opportunities, because a very healthy community is very, very important, and a very healthy network is very, very important as well. So this emphasis on building skilled blockchain workforce is very, very important for long-term success and sustainability of the ecosystem. If not, we will not build things that are really tangible, or we'll just build and they will buy us off, or we'll just build, pump and dump all these as well. And also, this is why collaboration is very, very important in this space as well. So blockchain startups in Africa should start emulating this, or should start benefiting from growing collaborations and knowledge sharing within the ecosystem. If you look at other parts of the world, collaboration is very, very important, and they use that to leapfrog from one stage that they are to the stage that they want to be. And industry associations such as CBAN, such as Blockchain Association of Africa, are also facilitating partnership. They're also trying to foster cross-border collaborations, and they're advocating for blockchain friendly policies. And this is why I tell people not to build in silence. They should build in public. There are opportunities that you can harness. Just do your thing, identify your niche, join these communities, go for events, try to seek for where the funding is coming from, where the money is coming from, follow the money, like Hamza Lawal will always talk. So far, you are building something very, very good. Global tech companies and international organizations are also actively engaging within the African blockchain community. So they should actually stay active in the space. They should support the development of local solutions and ecosystem growth. There's a whole lot to talk about in this space, because while challenges remain, such as infrastructural gaps, like I said before, digital literacy, like I said before, regulatory clarity, like I said before, the overall climate climate for blockchain startups in Africa is becoming increasingly favorable, and I can give it a very good take, because there's a whole lot to do. We've done our part, and I feel that the future is bright for us if we keep in this, we keep in this direction that we are going. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for the insights, into the current climate for blockchain startups in Africa. So while we prepare to wrap up this wonderful and insightful session, I'd like to, just say to everyone, if you have questions, you want to ask, just kindly drop them in the chat box while we take the final questions. So this particular question, now looking to the future, because basically the topic we're looking at, the theme we're looking at for tonight is the future of blockchain technology in Africa. So looking ahead, what do you believe would be the most significant blockchain development in Africa over the next 5 to 10 years? And for this particular question, I need very, very brief answers, because we've gotten to the end of this particular meeting. So I'll start with Mr. Uyi. So looking ahead, what do you believe would be the most significant blockchain development in Africa over the next 5 to 10 years, in few lines? Thank you.
That's a tricky one. It's like being a futurist. I think the most significant, I wouldn't want to call finance yet, even though it's obvious, but let's go with identity management.
Okay. Okay. Identity management from Mr. Uyi. Okay. So over to you, Mr. Emmanuel. What do you believe would be the most significant blockchain development in Africa over the next 5 to 10 years, in few lines? Thank you.
I think I like what Mr. Uyi said. Let's not talk about the financial aspect, because everybody will want to think fintech is just going, it's obvious. So for me, like he said, identity management, I would say data management and database management and identity management also would be. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. So, Mr. Gerald, what do you believe will be the most significant blockchain development in Africa over the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, so we have a lot of problems, and for me, governance and public service, if we look into it and develop products around that area, it will be very, very helpful in curbing corruption and the like. So for me, governance and public service.
Okay, thank you so much to our three speakers. So I have one final question, which is in closing, but then I would still say if you have any question, please, okay, you can just use okay, I can see someone is okay, I can see a question dropping on. So if you have questions, you can type them, or you can just, just raise your hand and then we'll call you to, ask your question. So in closing, this part is very, very important because it is personalized. I want to know how to strategically position myself for relevance and to benefit from this ecosystem. And I believe that every one of us, including the speakers, want to take that stance as well. So, how can African countries and even individuals in Africa strategically position themselves to not just be consumers, but to be leaders, creators, and innovators in this technology? So that would be just that question and whatever closing remark you have. So I would go to, in no particular order. Yeah, let me start from the person to my left on the flyer because I'm looking at the flyer. Let's start with Mr. Gerald. So how can African countries and even individuals in Africa strategically position themselves to not just be consumers, but be leaders, creators, and innovators in the blockchain ecosystem? Thank you.
Okay, so for me, just look around you, look at them you're facing in your environment and see how you can develop something around it. So Africa's young, tech-savvy population and continent, we have a pressing developmental need, and this is a very big market for blockchain innovation. So continued investment, supportive regulation, and capacity building efforts are very, very key to drive further blockchain adoption in Africa in the coming years. So successful use cases that we've mentioned and partnerships with local and global players will likely skyrocket these and integrate lots of blockchain technology into various sectors across the continent. So for individuals who wants to position themselves, for the first thing I tell people is to not see this whole industry as a get rich quick scheme thing. Just have a niche. Like what is your desire? What do you want to come into the space to do? Not just being money minded. Just have a niche, have a mentor around that niche, join communities of like minds, healthy communities of like minds, position yourself, build, learn, unlearn, relearn, keep building. And I know in no distant time, we will actually achieve everything that we so seek. So the future of blockchain in Africa looks very, very promising. With this technology will play a very, very important role in addressing some of our continent's pressing challenges and driving social, economic development. So that is that from my side, and thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you so much for those wonderful and insightful answers and closing statement, Mr. Gerald. To my other, when I'm looking at the flyer from this end, Mr. Emmanuel is to my right. So, but from the flyer, he's to my left. So Sorry, Mr. We happen to be on the other side, and so I'm going to be calling the next gentleman to my side. So, Mr. Emmanuel, how can African countries and even individuals in Africa strategically position themselves to not just be consumers, but be leaders, creators, and innovators in the blockchain ecosystem?
Oh, good evening. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. One of the things I believe in is education. I believe in education. I'm a trained civil engineer, and I decided to go have a master's degree and a postgraduate degree in education. I believe in the educational system of Africa. I believe in the educational system of Nigeria. And one of the things we would need in this space is education and information. Information is the key. An average African should learn to find information, should educate himself on blockchain and its technology. Knowledge, we should gather knowledge and we should improve ourselves. Like the first speaker, Mr. Gerald, said, we should improve ourselves. Also, let me bring this home, and like the coordinator Halima said earlier, when people come and ask me the question, how do I get in here? And I'm telling them, don't just look to get into the blockchain space for how would I come and learn a new tech or a new skill in the blockchain space? What I tell them is what you are doing, find a way that you could use blockchain technology to improve it. For instance, I told a tailor one time, I said, what if you're a good tailor, you can create a design? What if you decided that you would learn animation also? Then you animate your designs, turn them into an NFT and sell the designs. What I'm trying to say is look for utility where you are. Like the first speaker said, look for how to solve your problems in your environment. So I'm modifying it to look for utilities where you are. Look for utilities, how to utilize the blockchain space or the blockchain technology to help you improve what you're doing. Then also we should use this blockchain. I think for Nigeria, for example, blockchain or cryptocurrency, let me use crypto in blockchain, has gathered us together somehow. So we can use this to educate and help create policies, even if the government will not accept it. Let me say this one about Nigeria. As of 2009, I think they developed a ministry called Ministry of Digital Economy, and blockchain was approved in Nigeria. Blockchain and every technology coming with it by Professor Isa Pantami. He said is that they accepted everything in the blockchain space, in the blockchain technology in Nigeria. But people are not there. Like he was saying, investors are not seeing education, they're not seeing the knowledge, and policies are not helping us. We should find to write out policies. It might not be adopted in the system now, but we as youth, so if we write out policies, we see errors and create policies. When we get to the point of leadership in our little place, we implement these policies, these ethics to ourselves. Also, when we get to the place of authority, come on, these policies is going to help us. Also, partnership, we must learn to partner. We must learn to partner, and not just partner like that. That's me. Not just partner for money. No, not just partner for funding, not just partner for capital, partner for knowledge. You could partner for knowledge, partner for exposure, partner for development also. And I always say, Africa is not just a consumer, we are producers. We should not just be consumer driven. We should develop and we should learn to produce even for what is happening in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
that, Mr. Emmanuel. So over to you, Mr. Uyi. Same question. How can African countries and even individuals in Africa strategically position themselves to not just be consumers, but leaders, creators, and innovators in this technology? Thank you.
Okay. Awesome contributions by Mr. Gerald and Mr. Emmanuel, and the angles they really came from. So cool. So let me just what I'm saying is very related to what they say, but let me just articulate it this way. Have a sense of mission. A sense of mission that solves a personal problem or a societal problem or an industry problem. So it could be in your industry, it could be in a complementary industry, it could be a personal problem you face, it could be a problem that somebody you know face like that. It could be a societal problem, something just in society. Okay, I want to learn this to solve this. Or if this can solve it, I want to learn this to solve it. So that merges with education as well. So, but a sense of mission, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to solve, this is what I want to commit to. The next thing, just be loyal to the mission. Once you're able to find it, be loyal to it doesn't have to be one grand mission, it doesn't have to be one big thing, it could be one small problem, but be loyal to it, because if you solve that problem, you could be rewarded with the ability to solve bigger problems. So be loyal to the mission. Then, of course, be flexible to the methods as to which you use to solve the mission. Like Mr. Emmanuel said, as you collaborate in knowledge, you get better knowledge, you get better insight. So be flexible in the method, in the methods you're deploying to be able to achieve that your mission's goal. And if you keep this in perspective always as you grow like that, you'll find your magnus open. Don't put it that way. You find your life defining work. You find your place. And Mr. Gerard said, like, it's not a short term game; it's a long term game. But that long term game doesn't mean it's just maybe that one thing you'll be doing, but you'll be growing in that thing and onto more. And like the Matthew principle, more will be given to you. You'll be able to solve more. But just have a sense of mission, be loyal to the mission, and be flexible to the methods with which you want to achieve the mission. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Uyi. Thank you so much, Mr. Gerald. Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. It's been wonderful, conversing with you and, hearing you share, experiences and, insights from your wealth of, knowledge and experience being in the tech space and as it relates to the blockchain ecosystem as well. So here we have a question from Courage Omowale, and he's saying that for a person who is new in blockchain technology but already into tech, how does one get a community to join? And how does one use his already acquired skills, e.g. DevOps? And how does one use the skills and then leverage on blockchain technology? We have I believe that this question is actually a question that somehow relates to the three speakers, because we have Mr. Uyi, who has over 15 years of experience in the technology space. We have Mr. Gerald, being deeply rooted in the blockchain technology space, and we have Mr. Emmanuel, a community person. So in one or two lines, very short and very brief, what suggestion do you have for Mr. Courage? I hope I am for Courage, to answer the question that I just read out. So I'll start from Mr. Uyi. So Uyi, are you
Okay.
there?
Yeah, I said just help me with the second part of the question. Yeah, I
So
didn't get it
how
clearly.
can he use his already acquired skills, e.g. DevOps? How can he leverage, the blockchain technology using his acquired skills since the newbie? Since he's new into the space.
Okay. Of course, as always, tech is not really is not totally about just writing codes and building pipelines and all that. It's just building solutions that are scalable, really, solutions that can solve problem at scale. So I think as a DevOps person like that, there'll be resources out there just to research and find the intersections between blockchain technology and DevOps. So, for example, if he's solving, what problem is he solving with his DevOps? If he's working in a place, maybe he works in the company and all that. What is their mission and all that? So now beginning to explore ways that blockchain technology can be used to better what is already doing. Some of them are not to do it afresh or entirely differently. It's just how can he make it better? So that becomes his mission to learning maybe blockchain in line with what he's already doing. It's usually harder if you have to just abandon and go start afresh somewhere else in something different. But just find this thing that you're doing, just like Mr. Jara said, how can this marry this to be able to get something better, to get a better output and better solution like that. So I don't go all technical, but he's a DevOps already, so he's already technical in his orientation, just to find what solutions, where does blockchain technology. Where can you do this better for me? Where can this work better for me? And I begin to incorporate it. And before long, it's just like a fusion of technologies. You start creating maybe APIs and all that can have this fusion that, to take place. And who knows how many people have that same problem that you're just about to fix.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Uyi. So, Mr. Gerald, in one or two lines, what suggestions do you have for Courage on how he can leverage his skills in the blockchain ecosystem? How you can leverage blockchain technology with his skills?
Okay. Okay, so it's very, very important for him to learn, for him to apply for internships, for him to like if most opportunities I've gotten in this space, or let's say all opportunities I've gotten in this space, I got them from LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, please kindly go to LinkedIn, become very active. You have lots of groups you can join on LinkedIn. There are lots of DevOps groups. There are a lot of blockchain groups you can join on LinkedIn. Connect with like minds and start building from there. You never can tell where the next opportunity will come. So learn, apply for internships. You're already in this space already, but you need to advance and sharpen your skill for it to be relevant in what you want to do. Because if you hear what people in that climb are actually doing, the kind of how will I place it, the kind of great things that they are doing is very, very good, that he has that kind of ambition. So for me, I will always say learn, go for internship. If you're not on LinkedIn, kindly use LinkedIn. There are lots of opportunities there for people looking out for for people looking out for the next big thing for themselves. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Gerald, for that. So over to you, Mr. Emmanuel. So I would ask you this question. He's asking, how can you get a community of people? Oh, sorry. How can one get a community to join? Being a community person, how would you advise? What would you suggest for him? How does he get into communities that would help him advance his
Oh,
career in the blockchain
oh,
space?
okay, thank you for that question. I think Mr. Gerald said some things about it. The truth is, information is good. Information is important. Like I always say, information is the key. Is a good key. Not just only the key, because your skill is also a key. Information is a good key. Like he said, LinkedIn is a good place to go to. Also, Twitter is also a good place. You could see communities, and you should be very careful with the communities you enter. I'm very careful. Please enter healthy communities or join healthy communities. You could see, like for instance, after this program, this kind of programs, you don't just log out. You try to get your connection. You try to get your connection. You try to make contact, get people to join you into healthy communities, meet people, come for symposium, come for workshops, attend programs. Sometimes I think, let me say how I started my blockchain journey. It was amazing. It was just an online program. And amazingly, all those times when I think it was those MMM period, and I began to hear Bitcoin. I think I won't forget. I always say MMM Global. Oh, they use Bitcoin to pay. And after the whole crash, I didn't just shut down myself. The people I met did Bitcoin transaction with people. I began to talk to them. Oh, how do you do this? You discuss with people. You enter communities, go to LinkedIn, find places, go to Twitter, find healthy places, check what they are saying. Don't just go in there. That's the reason why I always avoid, I'm always after anybody telling me is going into blockchain because of money. Sorry. The truth is, it's not like I don't like money. It's not like I don't like money. No, it's that you should discipline yourself to what you are looking for. If you go there for money, you are easily scammed. If you go there for money, you are easily scammed, or you would want to scam people to get your money. But if you go there for your niche, to carve a niche, like Mr. Uyi said, carve a niche, know what you're looking for, know what you want to do, then you begin to see communities or meet people with that kind of line or in line with what you want to do. Then you interact with them. You must not find a community by finding a community at first. For instance, you can just reach out to Mr. Uyi right now and you talk to him. When he adds you, meets you to a friend, and and you begin to see yourself in communities. You develop step by step. And one other mistake I think a lot of people make, and I made before, was entering a lot of communities. For instance, you see somebody entering different WhatsApp group, and he's not benefiting from any of them. There's none that is catching his mind. Is entering. No, if you are going to enter many of them, then you must be able to attend meetings. The essence is not just get a community and enter the community or join the community. The essence is attend meetings, attend workshops, gain knowledge, be conversant, ask questions also. I wanted to say how to leverage on blockchain technology. I wanted to just say I wanted to say on that was just ask questions. Ask questions and carve a niche. You might think one other aspect, you might be thinking one aspect because you have not entered the space. When you enter the space, it becomes broader and you could streamline yourself to something. Oh, I think I prefer this to this. And I think it will help better. As Mr. Uyi said, he had said all that. So I just had to give you some tip guides to choose good communities. Thank you.
Okay,
right.
thank you so much. Thank you
Halima,
so much.
can I add to that?
Yes, please.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate the comments from the responses from our various speakers. Just to add to courage, what you're learning currently as a software developer, whether you're you build front ends or back end or DevOps, DevOps area, or you have expertise in DevOps. Trust me, there's a place for you in the blockchain space. There's a huge space for you. And I'm telling you because I actually went through the program, and in as much as blockchain could be a buzzword, trust me, it's still hosted on the server. It's still residing somewhere, right, within a data center, and there's need for deployment. So there are quite a number of fields, there are quite a number of places you can apply that, right? However, when you come into the blockchain space, just like Mr. Emmanuel has emphasized, you basically need to, learn some few things, like learn how to write smart contracts. If you're building on Ethereum, you know how to write smart contracts using Solidity or a few languages. And deployment within the blockchain space, it's quite easy, but trust me, whatever skill set you have, whether as a front-end developer, as a mobile app developer, as a back-end developer, as a DevOps engineer, whatever skill set you have is still useful within the blockchain ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that contribution and addition, Mr. Godfrey. So we have one more question from Loveline Agbo, and I for many reasons I find it hard to know because I cannot pass the question to the three speakers, and I find it hard to give it to one of the speakers to try. But I want to answer that question. Being a lady like you, and also being someone who at some point I wasn't in the space, right? I was somebody who I just had skills. I had a variety of skills, and I was just there. I came in through cryptocurrency, mining, airdrops, trading, and all of that. And eventually to picking an interest in the technology that powers cryptocurrency and all of that. So I had this I had my project management skills and all of that. And just like I think Mr. Gerald said, he emphasized on internship, he emphasized on learning. Now, sometime in 2021, I volunteered with a particular project. It was a cryptocurrency that was, it had Japanese, affiliations, but launched and made right here in Nigeria and all of that. And I volunteered with that project, and for me, it was the major beginning for me. I volunteered as a community manager and a creative director, and I used my skills on that particular project. From there, another opportunity came, and this time around it was also for community management with another project. That project got launched. The night it was launched, it did almost 10x, you get. And the rest we say is history. You know how we have the beer, the bull market, and all of that, and how sometimes a lot of things in the market, and the thing about a project coming from this part of the world too, sometimes things don't go well and all of that. So yeah, sometimes this is like a great start. I don't know how far you have gone. I don't know what affiliations you have with people in the space, but obviously you're here now, and then you have people that are in this space here. So learning to connect from here, connecting on on various social media platforms, getting to see opportunities, getting to engage, even have conversations. Oh, what community, what resources, what courses. I had to take courses. I remember taking this course, Blockchain Revolution, on was this platform, Coursera. Blockchain Revolution by, is it Dan Tapscott and the father-son duo. I had to take that course. It was I think it was a 4-course specialization or 6-course specialization and all of that. I had to take the course. I had to, Emmanuel knows I'm always asking questions. Like, from this particular event now, God knows I'm gonna be, in Mr. Gerard and Mr. Uyi's DM as well, asking questions and all that, because I am inquisitive. I want to know more. And most times the reason I want to know more is so I can also impart this knowledge in others, because I see a lot, especially ladies, I see a lot of ladies, a lot of women asking questions, and I just want to provide that support. So it begins from there, right? And then, as it has been emphasized, internship, sometimes just volunteering to maybe join a particular project. Recently I told I think I mentioned that to Mr. Godfrey. I said that at some point I got really tired, because you want to volunteer with this particular startup today, something happens and then they are no longer bidding and all of that. But for me, when I look back at everything has been instrumental in my journey over the years. From volunteering here, it opened up another opportunity, down to paid opportunities and all of that. And before you know, you are well grounded in this space. So that is a bit of what I would add to what has been said so far by the speakers. I hope that answered your question, lovely. And if you want to get to know more, get to delve deeper into the space, we are all here. And then the Owujupe community is also here. The link is in the chat box for for you to join. And yes, Mr. Gerard has dropped his LinkedIn profile. So I would also encourage everyone on the call to drop theirs. Let's all connect and get to learn more from each other. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Godfrey, for closing remark and any other thing you want to add.
All right. Thank you so much, Halima. That was an amazing, coordination. First of all, I really want to extend my gratitude to all the speakers, Mr. Uyi. I remember how we met, and thank God we're still in touch. And Mr. Gerald, by the way, I met Gerald on LinkedIn. We started engaging from LinkedIn, and within just 2 weeks, I guess. And today he's here, to speak to us, amongst the speakers. Mr. Emmanuel, it's a pleasure having you, although we've not met in person, but I've seen the reflection, of your work and of your impact on Halima as well. I really want to appreciate, Halima, for such a wonderful session. I remember my introduction, how I got to the blockchain actually started with her. My journey to the blockchain space came through her. She introduced me to the space. And when I thought around, who's going to anchor this session, I couldn't think of any other person but her. Halima has been a great person and a great friend as well. And I really appreciate you all for taking our time to be part of this. The Emerging Tech Talk is not just a one-off event. Our goal is to build this community where we can share knowledge and also identify problems and see how we can rally together to solve those problems. I by the way, I just rounded up from my blockchain development course today. And for me, it has been an amazing journey. It has been a great journey. I've seen quite a lot. I've been able to build certain connections. I've been able to, get myself immersed in ecosystems, blockchain ecosystem, over here in Toronto. And just to state that there are a couple of events coming up from next week. Actually, next week is Canada Crypto Week, and there's a lot of things happening. I'm privileged to speak in one of the biggest conference, Web3 conference by next week, Tuesday, called the Futurist Conference. I'll be speaking there and connecting with a couple of, industry leaders, the likes of Vitalik Buterin and, the major co-founders and founders of Ethereum. So the space here is quite big, it's quite huge, and there's a lot of opportunities. And most of the discussions we've had so far, around taking the impact of blockchain and the technology beyond finance. It's part of the discussion we've had at the community level, where I was speaking to someone within the Bitcoin B community here in Toronto. We were talking about it, and it was like we should have more hackathons around tourism, around health, invite these people, these stakeholders to come and, rub minds together and discover some of their pain points so that we are building this technology and we're building products that solve certain problems within that space. So in the long run, for me, I believe that within this community, within this platform, we'll be able to identify problems and build solutions for them as well. Solutions that global solutions, and all of that. So the blockchain space provides us that opportunity to thrive. I was listening to a conference some time ago on, I think in Ghana, a Web3 conference, and then I learned about the new discovery that was made, the new innovation, how that they released a solution that it's able to allow you to access your Bitcoin balance through USSD. So while I was engaging with one of my professors here, he had to, write it down. I was like, USSD, because here they don't use USSD. They don't have need for it, but we had need for it. And that's why a solution was built around it. And yeah, so there's a lot of things happening. Solutions are being built here and leveraging on problems happening in Africa, and several things are happening here. And we're looking forward to having sessions where we have people in the diaspora, in a conversation such as these, and then we get to share knowledge and get ourselves better. So I really appreciate us for this time. As we speak, we're currently building a solution within the blockchain space. We're leveraging on a traditional system that exists across the world, and then we're building it on the blockchain. And by first quarter of 2025, we'll be launching it officially. So there's a lot happening in the space, and we're looking forward to further collaboration. So once again, I want to thank everybody, all our participants, those that joined in, those that had to leave for one or two reasons. We really appreciate you, and I want to welcome you to another season. This is a new season for us, and we're going to build this community together. So I appreciate you. I want to appreciate our speakers, Mr. Uyi, Mr. Gerald, Mr. Emmanuel, Halima. I really appreciate you all for this session. And I want to say thank you so much for having me as well. And I look forward to greater connections, to more discussions and more opportunities, to rub minds and build something as well. So thank you so much, Halima. Over to you. Halima?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I forgot. Okay,
Oh,
yeah, thank you so much, everyone. I had a wonderful time, having these conversations and listening to everyone speak. And then, yeah, I can see, the whole connection, the networking going on in the chat section, and I love it. So if you haven't dropped your LinkedIn profile, if you haven't connected with anyone, just connect. And you never can tell where this connection will go. Connect, collaborate, create. That is one thing I live by. Wherever you go to, always, connect, because collaboration is key, in everything that we do. No man is an island. And in this ecosystem, as it is true of everything, every of our human endeavor, community is everything. Thank you so much, everyone, once again. And it feels like, we should, go on and on and on. But then we have to bring this to a close, as we understand that everyone is busy, but you just took out some of your busy schedules to be here tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh,
Gerald.
Gerald, hand is raised.
Okay, sorry, I just want to quickly make an announcement. I'm organizing a free LinkedIn class, optimization class. So anyone interested can just reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we just have that person added to that. So that is just what I wanted to say. And kudos to you, Mr. Godfrey. The conference you're attending is a very great conference. My company is sponsoring, and I have some team in Canada. I will just connect you
Oh,
with
awesome.
them as well. So thank you very much. And yes, I wanted to say something. That conference you talked about in Ghana, the name of that application is Machankura. So it's a South African
Oh,
Bitcoin invention, but they went to the African Bitcoin conference in 2022, 2023, and they had to exhibit it there, and they won a whole lot of grants,
oh, wow.
almost up to 50 to 100,000 USD from African Bitcoin conference in Ghana. The conference is happening this year. I attended 2022, 2023. This year is happening in Kenya. So thank you.
Oh, wow. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, For me, then it was a powerful innovation. And the truth is, it's not being talked about within this space. And I feel there are lots of things happening within the space that even the West are actually learning from us, because the space actually provides the opportunity for everyone to thrive, including African, including Asia, wherever in the world. So the very essence of blockchain is decentralized. So because of that, any country, any nation can actually pick up the challenge, and most importantly, collaboration. So one of the things we seek to do is to foster collaboration within this platform, where we can collaborate on a project, from Nigeria, to down to Toronto here, and across the globe generally. So we're looking forward to, having this platform and, foster collaboration. So thank you so much. I'm really glad. I'll do more study on that before the conference. I was really impressed at that development, and I feel the world needs to hear it. And yeah, the world really needs to hear this. So thank you so much, Halima. Let me not talk so too much. Thank you.
Yeah, because this is so exciting, and it
Yeah.
feels like we should go on and on. But then before we close, I'd just like to pass the virtual refreshment to everybody. You've all tried, and you all deserve a chilled bottle of whatever it is you drink. So I'm passing the virtual refreshment to everybody. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. And do have a wonderful night rest. And yeah, I cannot wait to see you in other events, and see you not same time. I don't know. I more details will be rolled out, but then see you same place, same station. Don't touch that dial. Thank you. Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.